Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the British Tier 9 Premium Medium tank, the Cobra. And yep, we've got another video on the Cobra, and that's because I've been really enjoying it while playing it. It's a tank that is really what I would not call noob friendly. It's really a tank that you have to know what you're doing with it. And that's because, obviously, the heat shells can be a pain and get absorbed by spaced armor, so you really have to aim for the right spot to pen them for the most part. And if you use the Hesh clips, again, you really have to know where you're going to pen people and where you're going to shoot to make the most of the Hesh. Now, this first replay is still using the 20 and 12 loadout, but since then, I have just gone full Hesh. I just load full Hesh because I love Hesh, and Hesh is great, and it's really fun and memey. And you can have some right laughs with it, and it's so funny when it's so satisfying when you get those full Hesh pen clips. It's just so dirty, and I've got a couple of clips after this game that you're going to see that just show how dirty the Hesh clip can be. And yeah, I do use full Hesh. If you use the Hesh clips on this tank, it really does take a lot of knowledge to know where you're going to pen the shots, what you're shooting at, where's best to shoot them, that sort of thing. It's like if you come against a E100, for example, you might think 210 pen against an E100, that's not going to do much, right? Obviously, you've got the rear armor you could pen, but your best bet, if it's sideways on, if you aim for the back end of the turret, if it's fully sideways on, you will pen the turret, and you will actually damage its ammo rack as well. I did get 3 out of 4 shots on an E100 and did 1600 damage in 3 shots to 1. It was beautiful, but I deleted that game because I'm an idiot, and I wanted to save more of the Hesh clips, but for some reason I just forgot to do it, and I just deleted loads of replays that I wouldn't want to show. So you don't get those, but I'd remembered on some of them, which is why you're going to get 3 clips after this game. But yeah, I say the Hesh is dirty, and it is the key strength of this tank. If you can get those Hesh rounds in, you can get those Hesh rounds going, you can be very, very, very filthy, and you can destroy tanks in the blink of an eye. And tanks can also underestimate you. Like, I've done it to a VZ55 who underestimated the Cobra, sat in the open, aiming to shoot me. I was hull down. He ended up penning me once. I penned him with 3 out of my 4 shells. Took like 1500 of his hit points again. Like, just in an instance. It's tier 10, you know. The Hesh clip is really dirty. It's really hard to use, especially because the gun is derpy. The shell velocity ain't great, and the aim time is horrific. But when you do use it, like I say, beautiful things can happen, and you can great things. As you can see, my eyes light up at this griller. Yeah. The Cobra has been something I've really enjoyed for the challenge of making these Hesh clips work. Oh, that's a beautiful shell into that AMX M451. And yeah, so in terms of a crew on the Cobra, I have still been using the Caliban's crew, but actually I have changed things up a little bit here and there. I've been changing, you know, to use different perks and skills. So with the crew that I have been using, it's the same as it is in the tank review, but I'll tell you what I've changed. Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Rapid Aim, Clutch Braking, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun. The gun perks to make the gun as good as possible, Rapid Aim to make this turret traverse even better to keep up with the track traverse, and actually I have dropped Clutch Braking, and I have been running Supply Conservation. And you'll see that I think it's on the last replay, because I don't think I use it for these first 2. And that's because you actually get your consumables back with 49-second cooldown, which is 11 seconds off, which is kind of big if you think about it. Like, you get those consumables back really quickly. You can boost your reloads with food more. You can get your tracks back on more. All sorts of things. And that's mainly because I just ran out of ideas of what to put on the crew, really. I mean, you can put track mechanic on. Also, Hesh clips. That's an E4, right? He's going to hurt me, sure. Lower plate shot. Lower plate shot. I can pen his back engine deck. And then the derpy shell at the end. But just look how much health we took off that E4 in one go. That is the Hesh. We took, what, 1400 off him? With 3 shells? And that's one of the reasons I have switched to full Hesh as well, is the fact that if you pen 3 of these Hesh shells, that's better than your equivalent heat shell clip. It's really dirty. And there's more targets you can pen with 210 than you think you can. But you have to really aim and make sure you hit the right spot. And it's definitely worth it for using these 490 damage Hesh rounds, because they are so dirty. But yeah, in terms of the crew, I have been running Supply Conservation just because it makes my consumables like 49-second cooldown instead of 60. But at the same time, you could run stuff like trap mechanic to make sure that you get your tracks back on. You could run whatever you want, really. That final slot is down to you exactly how you want to do it. Because you could just put clutch braking on and make this ridiculously fast-turning tank already even faster, right? It's totally up to you. In terms of equipment, I do run optics, vert stabs, and a GLD. I do run the gun laying drive so that I can get my aim time down as much as possible, because I think it's down to a 3.08 second reload with the setup I've got. If you were to run vents, you could get that a little bit lower as well, obviously. But I want, because this tank is blind with 370 meters view range, I want to make the view range better, because otherwise you are completely blind and you're really easy to spot as well, because you've not got any camo. So, yeah, I want to make that better. And obviously vert stabs, because you want to make this gun just more accurate, because it's not that accurate, really. So yeah, this first game on Kaunas, like I say, I've got the normal setup, what I'd call a normal setup, right? And, oh no, Mr. Panzerjäger. Oh dear, we low roll. Oh, we probably should have killed that guy in 3 shots. We low rolled one of the shots there. But that guy did not expect the Cobra to just appear. And that's where the Cobra can be deadly. It's got that Waffle E100 vibe to it, where there's a lot of situations where it's total poop and you really get screwed over and you can't do much. Obviously, you do have a bit of armour, unlike the Waffle E100. But that's where obviously the Waffle E100 has godlike gun handling. This tank just doesn't. And that gun handling can let you down a lot. But when it works and it's beautiful. But yeah, if you catch someone out and you be able to delete someone, it's just so beautiful. It's one of those satisfying things. So we managed to take out that Cobra there, and then this is where we make a mistake. We take a hit from the 30B to deal a shot into him. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just gone, okay, I'll reload and run away, because that 30B is going to kill us. And that's exactly what happens. So we made a mistake. He ends up finishing us off, but we've still finished with the victory. 6 kills, 5.3k damage, 2k assistance, ace tanker, top gun, the high caliber, 1922 base XP. A really nice game for the Cobra. Like I say, if you catch people out, it's utterly deadly. You have to just get the right situations for it to work. There's lots and lots of situations where it really struggles, and yeah, it can be annoying in that way. So here we've got the 3 clips. Now this first clip is what happens when you come against something like a Waffle Panzer IV. We aim above his tracks so we can get these Hesh in. We get 3 in, and then, well, we didn't even really fire the 4th because he was burning to death. And unfortunately, while he was on fire, he managed to get us with the big gun. Then we've got 3 shells left, and this Yak 88, look at this. That's a full health of a tier 8 tank destroyer. And the best of the best. That's an FV4000, that's a tier 10 tank destroyer. 1950 damage in 1 clip. He's gone. Oh, the satisfying feeling when you delete those things. Oh, those Hesh clips. Oh, yes! They feel so good when you pen them all. They really do. It's really satisfying. And obviously when you delete something like a Waffle E100 or an FV4005 that does the same to you, it's just beautiful. It's a great time. And it can be a wonderful, wonderful thing. But as I say, you do have to find the tanks to be able to pen with the Hesh rounds to make them an absolutely beautiful thing, right? So we're on the second game. And we're on steps. And obviously, like I say, I've got the full Hesh loadout now. And I'm just looking for a shot at this T100 LT. Unfortunately, we missed one. But that's just too of an aggressive a peak for this early on in the game to be able to try and get another one in. Because obviously we could have got another one in before he dropped down below that ridge line with the extremely fast intra clip. But I didn't want to take a hit. So we have 3 shells left. And I'm just looking for shots at these guys. The M48 pattern pokes up. It's like, well, if you're going to give me a lower plate M48, I'll just slap those shells in, bro. 1474 in 3 shells to that guy. Imagine if we hadn't fired that first shell at that T100. We could have done him for 2k. Or near 2k. Oh, like I say, it's devastating. If people make a mistake, it's devastating. Like I say, you have to know where to fire, because it's not like you can just auto-aim and fire. And, it's not like one of those tanks that's like, I don't know, like an idiot-proof tank where you just go, I'll press RB and fire and pen every shell, right? It doesn't do that. You have to make sure you aim for the right spot. So that M48 pattern there, I saw him come over, I went straight for the lower plate, not for the turret, and we got those shots in. So again, that WZ-120 and the 430U, you can see I'm aiming that little bit higher than in their sides. I'm aiming for the gap between the tracks and the spaced armour above the tracks. So, because if the shell goes in that gap, it's going to pen them. If it doesn't go in that gap, like you saw with some of the shells there, I think I penned the WZ-120 with the first shell. The second shell penned the 430U, and then the final 1 and 2 didn't pen. They splashed for like 100. And that's because the shells didn't, because it is a derpy gun and the aim time is bad, the shells didn't go where I wanted them to, and they hit the spaced armour, so thus they splashed. Now, that's what is so memey and deadly about this tank on PC, for example, and that's because their HE mechanics, and this is probably why it's got such a reputation from PC, is because their HE mechanics are different. Their HE mechanics don't care about spaced armour. The HE doesn't splash anywhere near as much as it does on console anymore, on PC. If you hit people on PC with this Cobra HE without penning, you're probably doing like 10 damage, if that. Whereas if you hit them in the side where the spaced armour is, so say that 430U, I would have penned every shell there because it wouldn't have just detonated on impact on hitting the spaced armour. It would have gone straight through. So that's where it's so deadly on PC, because you just catch people out and assassinate them by firing straight through the side. It's like seeing a Conqueror, for example, and shooting through the drive wheel. If we were to hit the drive wheel of a Conqueror, you might pen one, but for the most part, at least 3 shells out of the clip is just going to splash them for like 100. And you're going to do like 300 damage out of 3 shells by just hitting the drive wheel where you're tracking them. Whereas on PC, they can track and pen them every single time, and it's just pure filth. So we don't have that luxury. So we have to make sure that we're aiming them correctly. And like I say, you saw me doing that with the 430 and WZ-120. I was aiming for the, that spot between the spaced armor. And you can do that on heavy tanks as well. It depends on the tank. You just got to have that sort of little bit of knowledge of what you're shooting at. Now, right there, that clip we just did is a really frustrating one, because I fired at that 268 version 5 to try and pen him, and I didn't pen his lower plate out of 2 of the 3 shells that hit at it. I think the 3rd shell hit his spaced armour. But when I poked over, that Cobra was just sat there, side turret on. And I shot him in the side turret, and he still sat there. If I'd just poked over a little bit, and I could have just quite easily dumped my whole clip into that Cobra and done a lot of damage. Sounds a frustrating one, but it is what it is. And that was a moment where the Hesh clip just did not work, and that's because I just couldn't pen that 268 version 5 like it was. If I'd caught him sideways on, like I say, I would have aimed between the tracks and the spaced armour for the bare plates, and I might have got a pen, but the thing is, you can't expect the Hesh to go through it every single time. There's going to be tanks that you're not going to do anything to. You have to make the clip work. You have to force the clip to work, and you're going to see that in a minute. You do have to force it. And obviously there's going to be a lot of situations where maybe you're at the end of a game, and it's that whole autoloader thing, right? There might be, if you've got health, you can do it, but if you're at the end of a game and you've bled a lot, it's going to be really difficult to make the most of the clip and make the most of an assassination attempt, right? So the game is ending on steps here. There's that E100. I'm like, you know what? He's going to die to those guys. I'm not wasting it. This 277 is in my sights. I kind of want this guy. I want to get round him and fire some Hesh shells. But as we're coming over, there is this Panzer 7. I think, well, maybe I can splash him to death or pen the side of his turret. No, because it's got like 200mm of armour. It's like 50-50, and it just didn't work. And we ended up doing absolutely no damage. But here is where it's deadly. It's like, well, hello, Mr. 277. I have health. You have a rear. I like rears. Hello there. Oh, no. Oh, we set him on fire as well, which happens a lot, too, with Hesh. Oh, we did him for, like, 1,500 again. And we finished the game with 3 kills, 6.9k damage nearly. The ace tanker, the high caliber. That's really dirty when you do stuff to the 277 like that. And 2k base XP. A really nice game for the Cobra in a tier 10 match. It showed the sort of... There was little bits there which showed... Yeah, it showed the limitations of the Hesh, and also the absolutely devastating nature of the Hesh if you get it to work. That 277, he had 1,800 hit points. Yes, he took a hit from someone else, but we got round behind him. And because we've got such good track traverse on the Cobra, getting round him and out-traversing him, getting round, easy. And we just dumped the clip into his rear where we were going to pen it every time. And because it's Hesh, because it's He, it's got pretty decent module damage. And if something like a lot of the Russian tanks have, bad fuel tanks, you know, engines at the back, that sort of thing, and you're penning them in the rear, you're going to set them on fire. And you do set a lot of people on fire with this thing, and it's kind of beautiful for that if you're penning the Hesh. And like I say, that's where the Hesh is really nice and why I just load full Hesh, because of the lack of ammo, and because penning 3 shots is the same equivalent, well, is actually better than the equivalent of penning all 4 heat rounds. It's like, it's just pure filth, and I love it, really. And as I have really enjoyed, it's been kind of refreshing, because it's not an easy tank to play. You do have to work it, and that's a lot of the fun of it. And when it works and it pays off, and it's great. So we're on the third and final replay, and we're on El Alamein, and we spot this Vanguard. It's like, hello, Mr. Vanguard. We don't lead the shell very well for the first one, but it's like, hello, I'm now going to pen you. But unfortunately, I don't pen him once, but we do set him on fire, and the little pest goes. Goodbye, Mr. Pesty Boy. But unfortunately, one of those things managed to clip us with an AP round. It wasn't a Hesh round. Unless the Hesh round really low rolled, I'm pretty sure that was an AP round for 1200. And yeah, so at the start of the game, great, we've taken out the pest. Their light tank's gone. Well, actually, both their light tanks are gone, because the Sheridan Blower's got took out as well. But unfortunately, we've lost pretty much all of our hit points to that FV 4005, which is really painful and a really bad moment. We try and slap a shot at the Stark, which we actually hit, but we've got 3 shells left, so it's like, okay, we can pen this K91 if we hit him at the right place. Unfortunately, 2 shells don't go in, and all 3 shells there didn't go in. Because I was concerned about that FV 4005 popping up and finishing us off. I didn't want that. So I was really trying to snap the shots into that K91 to get them in. Now, obviously, he gets screwed over, and we actually get tracking for that, because we did track him in place. And we can pen a K91. If we hit the upper plate or the lower plate, we can pen it in the front. If we hit it in the side, we can pen it in the side easily. Unfortunately, we hit the spaced armor with every single shot, and we hit it again with the Stark SDRV over there. So the Hesh let us down, but obviously, really, we did get a tank taken out, because while we didn't pen it, we did track it in the opens, which helps, and he was doing a silly play. But it can be annoying like that. And here, with the Stark STRV S1, like, we didn't pen him. We didn't pen him once. We hit him in the side twice and did not pen him, but we set him on fire because module damage. And then we managed to kill him with the final shell. And we're up to 2.3k damage, and we haven't actually penned a shot yet. Yeah, we're up to 2.4k damage. We haven't penned a shot. But we've just set people on fire and, you know, done a fair whack of damage doing that. And we've got a good amount of tracking as well, because we have tracked him. But you can see, I'm eyeing up that FE 4005, right? And I know that if he's in that sort of position, I might be able to crest up on top of this little ridge and get shots down on him. But actually, I've decided, you know what? This heavy tank is hard aiming these guys in front of me. So, you know what? We're going to get his rear, and that's where we can pen him. So it's like, well, hello, Mr. E75. 1 in the rear, 462. Oh, no. He angled a little bit. Oh, no. Oh, thank God we managed to kill him with the final shell. Again, the Hesh, not penning, and it lets us down for the most part, but saves us in the end. Because the first one was straight through the rear. The second one, he angled enough, that E75, so that the Hesh 210 couldn't go through it. And then, because he was full turning, it was really a poor moment of choice to fire, but it was like, this guy can kill me if he turns around and shoots me, so I just want to get this clip out. The second shell only did 4 damage. Oh, should I say the third shell? But then the fourth shell managed to finish him off. I think we did like 100 and something damage to him. So we got lucky that we killed him. And again, the Hesh let us down. But it can be great when you get tanks like that and you hit... That's the first pen of the game, and we're up to 3.8k damage, by the way. Oh, the second pen of the game. Because we penned the E75, didn't we? That's the second pen of the game. We're at 3.8k damage. And then this 4005 gets spotted. It's like, oh, juicy baby. Come on. Give it to me. Oh, we hammer racked him. For the second shot damaged his hammer rack, and the third shot blew it. Oh yes, when you get those shots into something like an FV4005, it is beautiful. Oh, we're having a really nice game. Again, like the last game, which was a really nice game for the tank. We're up to 5.7k damage with 1600 assistance so far. And there's the other 4005. There's the T30. I'm like, please reload. This tank reload is very, very slow. And when it's situations like this, it's like, oh, just get the gun in game. Get into the action. Aiming for the engine deck above the spaced armour. Note what we're doing. Engine deck shot. Engine deck shot. We shut him down. We were aiming above his spaced armour so that we could hit that and pen it. Because if we were just shooting at his side there, for the most part, it wouldn't have gone in. It would just have detonated on the spaced armour and we wouldn't have penned it. You really have to pay attention to where you're shooting with the Hesh rounds. With 210 pen, you have to make sure you're shooting the right spots. It is what it is, but when you do hit those spots, oh, it can be beautiful. Now, those shots on that T30, because of the range we were at, won't always happen because the gun is derpy, and like I say, it can be frustrating in that way. We would have missed a lot of shots, so that was the ideal situation where the RNG just said, yep, go for it, mate. And we managed to do 1,000 damage in 2 shots to him. And now this is the last tank alive. We managed to get round and get 1 shot in. I was hoping to get 2 more shots in there, break the 7k barrier, but it is what it is. We finished with the victory. 5 kills, 6.8k damage, 1600 assistance, ace tanker, high caliber, the sniper medal, and 2.1k base XP. A really nice game for the Cobra. Can be really fun with Hesh, but it's really difficult to use right. And there will be a lot of these that you'll see that play like idiots and fire Hesh and just sort of auto-aim at people and they don't pen. And like you've seen in the game, the Hesh has to be aimed right. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Great success!